Are you a music producer stuck in 8-bar loop hell? Maybe you can write a killer loop, but when it comes to arranging it into a full track, it just falls flat compared to your favourite records. Well, today I'll show you a way to break that cycle every time and turn those half-formed ideas into full, finished bangers. This workflow is something I've developed over 20 years of producing, releasing records, and teaching thousands of producers for computer music and cable guys. And by the way, if you want more free tips to help you finish tracks, I'll be posting them to my mailing list, link below. So here's the problem that most of us music producers encounter at some point. You start by making a decent loop, say the chorus or drop. You play it on repeat, piling up more and more sounds vertically. Then, after looping for so long and piling up all these sounds, you finally lay out a structure. But it doesn't feel right. It doesn't hit the same as your favourite records. So you get bored, you hit save, and then you leave it for another day. And the cycle continues, pun definitely intended. The thing is, making loops over and over is like doing arm day every single day. Sure, you can have huge biceps, but your arrangement skills are going to be like skinny little chicken legs. So this is where my bookend trick comes in. This is the workout plan that will give your arranging skills legs beefier than Chris Hemsworth training for Thor 9, even Thora legs? Sure, let's go with that. So I'm going to show you how I use the bookend trick to write this track. This one got a great response in my last video. This was the first track I've ever made where I used chords for bass. I think the music production police are going to be breaking my door down. So I usually start with the drop, and what I do is, instead of piling up more and more layers vertically, I like to quickly get out of vertical mode and move horizontally by bookending this drop, so a section either side to frame it. And the reason this works so well is because your drop finally has context. The intro gives it purpose, the B section gives it direction, and once your idea has a frame, it stops behaving like a loop and starts behaving like a track. The key is to implement this horizontal workflow while writing, ideally as soon as possible, and this breaks you out of loop mode. So in this track, I took everything from the drop and removed the drums. Then your B section could just be a continuation of the main theme. So here I switched to rhythmic chords and a lead. Bear in mind you don't have to stick to this structure, because as you start arranging, the track will start telling you where it wants to go. For example, here the transition from my A to B section felt a bit too intense, so I added this cool down section between. And bookending works at any stage of arranging and writing, not just from the start, but also when you come back to work on an idea. Then finishing the track becomes so much easier. So right now I'm going to finish this track using bookending again. I'm going to make the second drop, I'm going to bookend it with the breakdown and the outro. Okay, I'm back. I finished the arrangement. It took me 14 minutes 21 seconds to do that, and bookending made it super easy. I'll probably come back with fresh ears in one more session just to tidy up all the details. And if you want to hear how the full track developed and turned out, I'll send it to my mailing list. Okay, so now you understand the basics of bookending. Here are some tips to help you bring everything together and take those ideas over the finish line. Tip number 1 is don't go flat. What do I mean by this? Well, imagine your track idea is like this can of soda. You open the can and take a sip. The drink is all fizzy and tasty. But if you leave it lying around, the bubbles disappear, and eventually you're left with this warm, flat, sad liquid that tastes like disappointment. And track ideas are the same. In your first sitting, when you first open the can, you're fizzing over with ideas and inspiration. But if you leave your track as a loop until the next day, the magic goes flat, and you'll never really recapture those ideas again. So basically 2 things. Number 1, I'm still really thirsty. And number 2, the bookend trick works best when you use it right from the start. When an idea feels exciting, don't let it go flat. Get all those ideas into your door. Get all that fizzy inspiration onto the arrange page. Okay, next let's look at tip number 2. Once you've got a basic structure down, where should you focus on next? Well, for me, the most crucial area to get right is the transition from the intro into the drop, because especially for club and dance music, the tension and release here is what defines the entire track. Sometimes, like in this track, this section falls into place straight away. I just used a simple drum roll and it worked. But often in many other tracks, I'll spend ages refining this exact moment to get it to hit properly. And that's why writing the intro and drop together as early as possible will save a lot of problems down the line. And that leads into the next tip. What about the intro? Well, there are hundreds of ways to write an intro, but here are some quick guidelines. Compared to the drop, intros are usually a lot thinner in terms of frequency content, so there's usually less bass and often less treble too, and they're also less dense in terms of sounds, and there's also often more atmosphere going on. How you approach it is up to you. I usually like to keep my intros simple and tease the main theme. When you're stuck for intro ideas, a cheat code is to use contrast. Whatever your drop section does, do the opposite in the intro. For example, if your drop is all intense and rhythmic, then make your intro all floaty and sustained and minimal. But of course, there are tons of ways to do it. I always used to really struggle with intros, and that's just because I didn't get enough practice. So the more you do it, the more you'll find your own style. Okay, so something I wanted to quickly do is load in a bunch of clips from my works in progress folder. I didn't listen to them, I just dragged them in because I wanted to look at the waveforms. And you can see that apart from a couple, they're all fully fleshed out ideas, thanks to this bookend method. Now, using the bookend method doesn't guarantee that each idea is going to be mind-blowing, but it does mean that each idea will be fully formed enough for you to judge it properly. And from there, you can pick the ideas with the most potential and finish them, again using the bookend trick. For more free track finishing tips, sign up to my newsletter, link below. And although I've shown you how to break out of the loop, none of this really matters if you don't use quality sounds and good composition within this framework. So to fix that, go and watch this video here. I'll see you there. Cheers.